This is the rocker, Keith Ramsey from Deep South Paranormal, and you're listening to Steve and Naomi on Into the Unknown Realm on DTM Wicked Radio.
Welcome into the unknown realm with your hosts, Steve and Naomi from STURS Paranormal. Take a journey with us into a world that few understand and even fewer dare to go. On your home for everything wicked, DTMWickedRadio.com. Welcome into the unknown realm. I am Naomi.
I'm Steve.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight. We are actually off of a pretty fun weekend this weekend.
It seems like it's radio.
We had the pleasure of going back to the Haunted Victorian Mansion yesterday for a wonderful book signing of Joni Mayhan. I'm not sure if you caught any of the interviews we did. We interviewed several people who have had experiences there, from the caretakers to some of the paranormal teams, even someone who decided not to do ghost hunting anymore.
Because of the events that happened to him.
Yeah.
You know the one thing we forgot to do, though?
What?
Turn on the lights when we did the last interview, because the sun came down, and that house is creepy in the dark. Not that it isn't creepy when it's light out, but it is creepy.
But we knew it in the dark when we were there a year ago.
Oh, man.
Yeah, very, very cool. If you have not yet purchased the book from Joni Mayhan regarding the Haunted Victorian, you must. It is so good, so well written, and it's awesome. I read it. Steve is in the process of reading it, and just from the first chapter, I absolutely loved it. It just grabs you. She is a great author, and anyways, also, she is going to be joining us next, her interview with us will actually be next week on Labor Day. So that's going to be awesome. We did the interview already, and we did it right there on site. So
creepy.
Make sure you listen to see if you hear anything, any EVPs. There were things that did go on while we were there, and it was pretty cool. One profound thing that happened to me was when I was sitting there talking, I felt an actual hand on my shoulder, and it pushed, one of the fingers, pushed down, and I was...
Thought I did it.
Yeah, I thought it was Steve because he was sitting right next to me. Anyways, we got to meet some cool people, see a whole bunch of people we haven't seen in a year, such as Marion and Tina and, of course, Edwin. We had a really, really good time.
Don't forget the dragging of what could have been a desk or a bureau. I don't know. It was like wood on wood screeching.
But I suggest you check out the interviews we did yesterday with some of these people. They had great stories, and they're just little stories. Not to mention Mark and Lauren from Paranormal Hangover. That was a great interview and a really funny experience that Mark had. So you got to check those out. Go to our Facebook pages, and they're on there, the Into the Unknown Realm, or even go to our team page, STURS. Which is cool.
And if you hear anything on those interviews, let us know immediately. We'd love to check them out.
Yes, definitely. Because we haven't had a chance to go back and listen to them yet. I want to definitely send out my condolences. It kind of hits home. This is a family that is from my hometown. Well, not my hometown, it's where I live now. It is James Foley.
James Foley,
who is the gentleman who got beheaded, unfortunately.
He's a reporter that got taken hostage by a military organization, if we want to call them that.
Militant.
Yeah.
And
sad.
It is very sad, and my heart goes out to the family, and just sad situation. Also, want to talk about not next week, but the following week, we have the one and only from Ghost Adventures, Jay Walsley, coming to join us.
When?
2 weeks from today.
When?
2 weeks from today.
Mountain Dew.
You crazy boy.
Also, I'd like to congratulate my daughter. 5 days from now, she'll be going to college for the first time.
She's going to do great.
My youngest daughter going to school on Wednesday.
Yeah.
3rd grade.
My baby.
That's A-Town, by the way.
My baby's actually already at college. She's doing her preseason for field hockey, and it's old hat for her now. She's a junior. Can't believe it, my baby. But anyways.
Let's talk cupcakes.
Let's talk cupcakes. You like those cupcakes.
Look at me.
Anyways,
hey,
we are so excited to have on the show tonight a very special guest, and not to mention good at making cupcakes. She is a professional lecturer. She is a graphics designer, the co-host of a web TV show, Up for Discussion with her husband, Jeff, the owner of her very own award-winning cakery shop called Shan Cakes. There's a little hint on who it is. The author of the book Paranormal Unwrapped. She introduced the ghost hunting grid laser to the world, which went viral. Co-inventor of the iWay, which is a Ouija board planchette.
You were going to take an hour just to introduce her.
She's very talented. But best known to everybody as from Ghost Hunters International, and also her story is being featured on Paranormal State. Welcome to the show, Shannon Sylvia.
Woo!
Hi, guys.
How are you?
Hi.
How are you?
We're great. It'd be cool.
You were involved in a lot of things.
Yes, you're a busy girl.
You have no idea. No idea. It's ridiculous.
And then you have 2 puppies. Right? Or is it 1?
What's that?
And you have 2 puppies, right? Or is it just 1?
I do, and right now I'm actually doing this show from my best friend's house, and they have 2 bulldog puppies. So I'm dealing with these 2 dogs, probably barking in the background because they want to go back into mummy. And I'm a huge dog connoisseur. Thank you. So I'm a busy gal. You have no idea. But I do it all. I do it all, and it's all done well. Thank you.
That is awesome. You know, my daughter, she did in high school VOTEC for graphic designs, and I was amazed of all the stuff she could do. And you know, starting the radio show. I mean, her education she got in the VOTEC was equivalent to the first year of college of doing graphic designs. So when she thought about going to school for that, they're like, you know what, you've already got like your first year is full of education. You're going to be bored, and you know. But starting up the radio show and doing, you know, the banners and the posters and going to Photoshop, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's like,
you know what? It just takes time sitting in front of the computer learning. My husband does a lot of the banners for the radio shows, and I am his worst enemy. Because I'll look at that banner and go, TV, can't read it, awful drop shadow, awful colors, awful, like, I'll tell him that was done 20 years ago. There's so much, I mean, I actually was trained in school in college for fontography. I mean, we learned typography. We learned font.
Yeah.
We learned colors. It was 2 semesters of just colors. What colors work best with others. So it is a science, and you're either born with it or you aren't. So if your daughter is good at it and she knows how to conceptually put things together, she'll do just fine.
Oh, she definitely did very well in the VOTEC. Mm-hmm. Now she's in college, and she actually, one of the jobs she does at the college is helping the department that puts together, you know, all of that pamphlet stuff, and you know, which is perfect.
That's how you start. That's how we go from the ground up, honey. And all of it is an amazing learning experience, and then you can save that stuff and move on and on and on, and there's so much to learn, like anything. But it's a good field. It's an amazing field. I mean, it's actually a great field for everybody. If I could have invented a college and said everyone had to learn how to design advertising ads for something, whether it's a radio ad or a business ad or a flea market ad, everybody should know how to do that. Everybody.
So I'm going to have you critique. Have you seen the banner that Naomi created?
No,
for the show?
don't be. Be like, that's
this
like
is not my job to critique. I'm not here to put anyone down tonight. Nope.
I do my best.
I actually
nope.
It's funny.
You know what? Any banner is better than no banner. So.
Right. The first banner I did, I'm like, Melinda, my daughter's name's Melinda. Melinda, look at this. Isn't this cool? It like turned out real out. She's like, yeah, that's great. I'm like, no, really, isn't it good? It's just like,
it takes training. It takes an eye for design. It's not for everybody, but again, no banner is better than. I mean, any banner is better than no banner. So don't sweat it. It's really not that big a deal. You could write red letters across a banner on Facebook and say, radio show tonight. People are going to see it and still tune in.
Right. Exactly.
Doesn't matter how show you are.
I got her face red.
Is it red? But anyways, so you, when you were a little younger, you are a survivor who experienced, let's see, you put 21 years of traumatizing poltergeist activity in your home. And when I read that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would so love to hear about that story. I love hearing that kind of stuff. And if you are willing to share that, I would love to hear it.
Well, I am, you say survivor, which I hate that term because survivor means like a life and death situation. I could have survived that or not survived that. I'm more of a victim, and a victim is more of a person that suffered some kind of trauma that, you know, you can or cannot eventually get over. So I was more of a victim of something that happened in my home. I have more of an idea now over the couple past years of what it was compared to like maybe 10 years ago. The causes of it, what we did. I came from an extremely Catholic church family. I mean, we were the family that was up in front of the church on Sundays singing in the band. I was singing in the band. My dad, my brother, my mom. We couldn't have been more Catholic if you wanted to. So I don't even know where to start. I mean, what happened to me back then was so weird and bad that I'm trying to still, at my age, learn exactly what that was about. And I'm learning every Thursday. I go to an amazing, amazing mentor who has been helping me with this. I've been a psychiatrist. I've been to doctors. I've been to priests. Nobody could answer exactly what was going on in my life. And sometimes there's just so much energy, so much stuff that it takes a certain being to pick like an antenna. And we've all heard that, but I just happen to be one of those antennas that, like a sponge, just kind of all this crap happened to growing up. So with multiple witnesses and family members, all this stuff was happening while I was growing up. So I'll be willing to answer any questions you have. I'm still trying to get over it or get past what that was. I'm trying to learn how to conquer that because I have a lot of nightmares still, which came out on Paranormal State. Ryan Beal, like, I have a lot of nightmares. I still do. I have night terrors. My husband will be the first to attest that, and the only to attest that. I have awful night terrors, and I still have nightmares of this being, and I'm still trying to get over it, and I've gone through all lengths to get over it. It's not something that you ever get over or forget. So what happened to me was real. We had witnesses. We had numerous members of our parish church trying to deal with it, and it's not anything that I would wish on my worst enemy. But anything you have for questions, I'm willing to answer tonight.
Well, you had, it says, the house that you lived in was a 125-year-old schoolhouse.
That's the house I live in now, not the house I grew up in.
Okay.
Yep.
And,
yep, it was a schoolhouse built in the 1800s. Now, the house I grew up in that was on the site of the King Philip's War, I only lived there from birth until 21 years old.
Wow.
And that's where I had the worst of my experiences.
Now, did that only happen to just you, or did it happen to your family?
No, it happened to everybody, including some witnesses. I was a babysitter for the local neighborhood kids. This went on to multiple witnesses throughout the neighborhood. Neighborhood kids that would come over and play with my sister. My sister was 12 years younger than me, so she would have her childhood friends come and play. There have been reports of these kids running out of our house. Now, when I was too young to remember, my parents told me that my babysitters used to actually, the Melanson family, and the Melansons still live in Leominster to this day. And the oldest was my babysitter. I don't want to give out her first name, but she ended up leaving me alone because the dishes were flying out of the cabinets on their own.
Oh, wow.
And that, yeah, I mean, that's typical movie star stuff, but we had so many other things that were going on behind the scenes. I grew up with this from such a young age. I thought this stuff was normal. So when I heard about this later on in life, about a lot of the stuff that happened before I could remember it, it didn't surprise me because my mother, who works with me to this day at my bakery and still lives down the street from me, still lives here in town, there were so many horrific things that went on. I can't even begin to, start. And it all started with an origin, and now I'm having more of a better idea as to why it happened. But it did happen, and there were witnesses.
Wow.
So you said that this started, for 21 years. Was that from the time you were born, or was that?
Yep.
So was this actually happening at your birth, or did it actually happen before your birth too? With
your family.
With your family, yeah.
My birth was pretty uneventful. I was born in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, which is the next town over at Burbank Hospital. My family had just recently moved to Leominster, which is where I live. And nothing had happened at my birth. Things started happening from a young age, about, I'd say probably 2 years old and up. I had cold-blooded, is that coated blue? Cold-blooded?
Blue.
Coated blue.
Coated, yeah.
I had actually died at a children's hospital here in New England, and the doctors had shoved my mother out of the room and said, we got to work on her, and they were screaming, code blue, code blue. I had pneumonia at 2 years old. I was a frequent flyer of wicked sicknesses. I was born very, very, very sick. I was born allergic to eggs. I was born allergic to milk. I was born allergic to chocolate, feathers, dust, pet hair, horsehair, you name it, like any kind of milk. It was a horrific allergy. And I was a very sick child. At 2 years old, I had pneumonia. I had died in the children's hospital. They had revived me. And while my mother was being pushed behind a plastic door, please stand back, please stand back, she was pushed outside the door, a woman came up to her and said, he may not get her now, but he'll get her later. My mother didn't know what that meant at the time, but if you do dwell on it, it's not exactly the best news anyone's heard. The lady disappeared. She never saw the lady again. That was kind of creepy. He's not going to get her now. He'll get her later. Many years later in the Catholic Church, there was some kind of prayer ceremony. I think, I'm trying to remember back, because you have to understand, when there's so many family moments where things happen, it's kind of hard to decipher what was what, but it was something to do with me. I think it was my first communion. A woman went up to my mother, and while there was a prayer, it was at St. Anne's Parish in Leominster here, and some lady went up to my mother and said, you don't think that that's really about her, do you? And it was, I think it was about Ralph DiOrio, actually. Ralph DiOrio was a very, very, very famous, world-renowned priest that did healings. And said to my mother, you don't think that's about her, do you? And she looked at my mother, and the second thing she said was, he's going to get her. So my mother said she was wearing black, and that's all she remembered about the lady. She was very dark hair, dark clothes. at a prayer ceremony. Now, I was so sick as a kid that I ended up on 2 episodes of the 700 Club with Pat Robertson. There was a miracle. The miracle was that Pat Robertson had a vision of a young girl who couldn't eat eggs. And I don't know. You got to understand, I was in 4th grade, so I had no control over this. My mother wrote in the show and said, I think you were talking about my daughter. And I ended up being on the show, not once but twice. The second time they did a follow-up. The first time we talked about my miraculous healing to egg allergies, which a lot of people don't really know. I didn't really tell a lot of people in the paranormal at first that, Dr. Feldman, a very prestigious doctor in my town, I was the youngest patient that he ever did an allergy test to. And at 1 year old, he knew that I was allergic to eggs. He retested me after the show aired, before the show aired, when Pat Robertson said there's a little girl out there that's allergic to eggs. She's being healed from God right now. And my doctor tested me again for eggs. And in the letter that they aired on international television, the letter from Dr. Feldman aired saying that this is nothing short of a miracle, that I could eat eggs. So there's been a lot of really weird-ass stuff going on in my life. Between weird people going up to my mom, like telling her that he's not hers, but he'll get her later on, and do you really think this is about her, and he'll get her another time, and then the whole plethora of stuff that happened in our house growing up that was just horrifying. I can't even begin to explain how weird it was growing up to be me.
Yeah, wow. I
had goosebumps when you first started that whole thing.
Yeah.
That was... Yeah.
It's all documented. I mean, people might not believe me, but this is all documented within the medical system, within the 700 Club on national television. It is weird. It is goosebump material. Can you imagine living it?
Well, no, what's ironic is here you have your cakery, your shop, and all that's like, eggs, milk, you know what I mean? This is stuff you were allergic to, and now you must use them eggs, in your bakery.
Honest to God, like I've been able to eat eggs ever since, and I adore eggs. I love eggs, but I was allergic to so many other things. Like to this day, I'm still allergic to walnuts. I haven't kicked all of my allergies, but the one big one was eggs. And if I had a choice, it would be eggs, because eggs is in everything. But that's a documented miracle that my doctor said before he passed away from leukemia. And you could research Dr. Feldman online in Leominster. There's an entire wing dedicated to him in the library. I mean, people loved that man. His wife was an allergist. He said it was nothing short of a miracle what happened to me overnight. And I'll never forget that night when my mother was watching TV and saw him say that and dragged me out of the bathtub. And he was saying there's a little girl out there that's allergic to eggs. And I'm sitting there going, I mean, me, a skeptic, oh, come on, Mom. Like, there's 1,000 girls out there. Really? Like, really, Mom? And she's like, ah! So we ended up going out to Virginia Beach and meeting him, and my mother told him about the story, and they wanted to do an episode about it. That, call that paranormal, call that a miraculous thing, I don't know, but it was a comedy of errors in my entire life about paranormal and miraculous things, if you'll call it that. I don't know how to explain it, but I've been fortunate and misfortunate at the same time.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, you look at the good as well with the bad, which I think is important to survive in this world. I mean, my mom, she told me a long time ago, to always be thankful for the bad because the bad is happening because there's something good coming out of it,
Well, and she was right. And the bad has taught me a lot of strengths, I was bullied so much for all of this growing up. Back in the 70s and 80s, this was not accepted, not until Ghost Hunters came out on TV. This was not accepted until, in the past 5, 6 years, 7 years at the most. I mean, can you imagine an elementary school girl? I was tortured in Catholic school when I said I had to take a day off for filming. Tortured. The kids were so jealous. We had a class of 13. Very upset at me and very jealous, and I was picked on until the cows came home. You have no idea. all because I didn't really understand at that point what was going on. I was a puppet for my parents, just going with the flow. You know, we weren't back then what we were today, educated and open-minded.
Now, what
so it was tough.
What made your family come out to other sources to help you, and help your family? I mean, what was the drawing point where it's like, okay, we need to get help from other people and take that chance in involving other people?
My parents went to St. Anne's Church, St. Anne's Parish, and we had Father Bianco, Father Ralph Diorio, we had Father Jack, maybe Father Perello, actually. Father Perello, boy, if you research him, all these priests came out to our house night and day. I used to joke around that the pool that we had in our backyard was holy water because these priests would come out and bless the house, bless the property, bless everything about us, bless our foreheads, try to get rid of the ghosts that we had. And everything was about throwing the holy water and blessing people, and nothing worked. So my family was reaching out for as long as I can remember. I remember people singing prayers in my kitchen and lighting candles, and I was probably 2 or 3, maybe 4. This has been a lifestyle for me, which, I mean, it's just been a lifestyle for me that not a lot of people can attest to, but my whole life was growing up with people in my house trying to get rid of what was happening.
Wow. Now, that house, where the location of King Philip's War, that one, is that still standing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, about 1.5 years ago, I drove up in my car and left a note in the door for the people to talk to me. I was writing for my book, and I wanted to interview them about what was going on possibly in that house. I know they were all home. I know the door was open. When I pulled up, there were cars in the driveway. They would not come to the door. So I don't have any explanation for that. Maybe they were out in a family walk. I mean, I have to think skeptically here. Perhaps they had no idea. Perhaps they didn't get my note in the door. It could have blown away. But I've tried on 2 separate occasions to contact that family to talk to them about what happened to me in that house. They will not return my calls. My neighbors know nothing. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't know too much after moving out of the neighborhood. My mother moved out of that neighborhood. We don't know much more without prying too much. I don't want to look desperate, but I've tried reaching out twice to those people to find out if they've had any issues in that house. Perhaps they don't believe in it. Perhaps it's not their religion. Perhaps they've had no issues and they just don't want anything to do with it. I respect that, but I've tried twice.
Wow. I'm so curious if they are having issues.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, that's quite the ground.
If it means anything, that my sister used to babysit for them after we all moved out. My sister babysat for the last 2 families in the house. No family lasts that long. They all lasted maybe a year, and they were gone. But I would believe, in my own opinion, the last family that's been in that house has been there at least 6 or 7 years, so they're there to stay at least. But my sister would say that there was a lot of instability in the last few families that lived there that she babysat for, which she would go back and actually babysit for in that same house, and she had experiences there too. I actually went back in that house when it was on the market to pose as a real estate customer.
A buyer?
Yep. I acted like I was interested in the house, and boy, did that guy try to sell me that house. It was comical, and I will walk around from room to room going, holy hell, this is so different. The guy's like, oh, yeah, it has this and it has that. He didn't mention the mold in the basement and all this other crap, so it's kind of like, yeah, you just want to sell the house. But I eventually told him, dude, stop trying so hard because I used to live here. I grew up here, and it's not happening. I'm just coming back to see the house. And he was really upset to hear that, but I had to be honest. I couldn't stand the selling any longer. It was just out of control. It was just how great the house was and how wonderful. Hey. And I was just listening to fluff, and it was boggling my mind. And I spent 21 years in that house. I didn't want to hear it anymore. But I did go back. I had to.
Right.
It didn't kill me to go back. It didn't. It was just weird to see how people had decorated it. That's all. You don't think about. Yeah, you think about the stuff, but you don't think about. I don't know. I mean, it's more like, wow, this is really ugly now.
Why did they put that color?
I mean, how would you feel if you went back and someone's trying to sell your house that you grew up in? It's the same thing. It's like,
right.
Really, dude, like, you don't know this house a quarter of how I know it, and shut up. You just want the commission. But it was all good. I mean, the guy had no idea the house was haunted, and he shouldn't have. It's none of his business. And maybe it did leave with me. I don't know, but we'll never know.
Yeah. Wow. But
it was a rough road there. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there were terrifying nights in that house. Things moving, things disappearing, the voices, mostly the voices, the footsteps, just negative crap, just awfulness. I can't even. It's hard to go back there. It is. I can, but it's hard. It's hard,
now,
but I can talk about it.
Now, was there something that happened that made you guys decide to move out of that home and leave it behind?
No. My mother took a turn for the worse mentally. At that time, it was really weird because now I work with her side by side. She's a different animal. I love my mother now more than life itself. Back then, I wanted to kill her, and she wanted to kill me. In fact, she tried to kill me. And this is no secret. She actually tried to kill me with a knife. That house, my relationship with her was a different animal. And now it's just loving, and we both need something from time to time, and we're both there for each other. But back then, we were each other's worst enemy. And I could not. Well, I don't know if it's paranormal related. I mean, she was going through a bad divorce with my dad, and she hated me because I was an offspring of his, and it's real personal. But there was a vibe in that house that was just off course. It's just not right, and I don't explain. I mean, I can't explain it because the second I left that house and went on my own. My mother was. The relationship turned, and we were much closer and better, and everything was the way it should have been our whole lives. So I'm still trying to get used to having a close relationship with my mother. I'm still trying to rekindle the last half of my life here with getting used to a loving mother, because before it was really volatile. Everything was volatile in the house. Everything was volatile. My brother listened to Iron Maiden and Ozzy Osbourne. Had posters, horrific posters of Iron Maiden and Ozzy Osbourne on his walls. Now he's a deadhead. He when my I say husband, I'm sorry. When my brother moved out of the house, he became a deadhead. Like complete peaceful person, couldn't harm a fly, so benign it's not even funny, the nicest person in the world. But when he left that house, he is a different animal. My mother was a different animal. I was a different animal. My father, I don't think he changed too much, but my sister hasn't changed much either. But some of us became different animals psychologically after leaving that house.
That's awesome.
It's weird.
That's good.
It's weird. It is awesome, but when you think about it, it's kind of sad because it makes you wonder, like, what was it about that house that made people so mean and volatile and awful? It was a scary way of living.
It must make you appreciate these relationships so much more because you knew the extreme that they were before. And
I mean, it was that desperate for me to get out of there that it was my last semester of college. I had no money. I was still in school. I emancipated myself with both my parents in front of a judge because I couldn't take them fighting anymore. I told the judge I've had it with both of them. I'm on my own. But I still had college left. I was in school full-time, 35 credits a month. I took the most credits anyone could possibly take because I wanted to pack all my classes, and I was dancing. I was in school. I was doing everything I could to get away from home. I worked 40 hours a week, I was in school 35 credits a semester, and it was a really, really, really hard time for me. Psychologically, I almost blew my stack. A therapist told me once in the past that you're either going to do drugs and drink, or you're going to go and be the over-ambitious type. And I went the second. I became over-ambitious because I had to spend my energy doing something other than nothing. And that's how I became the way I am.
It drove you.
So a lot of good things came out of it. A lot of bad things came out of it. Am I ever going to get over living in a haunted house? No. F no. Never.
It's funny how, living in that house, you've made it such a huge part of your life even now.
Yep.
You even if you want to talk about, well, first of all, before I forget, I want to wish you and your husband a very happy anniversary.
Thank
I know,
you.
a couple late,
Thank you so much.
days late, but I'm like, oh, I forgot to wish your anniversary. But
well,
anyway.
you guys are just 10 minutes from us. I'm sad that we didn't get together with you while you were up at the Haunted Victorian there, but
we ate in your town. We're like, we should call Shannon.
Why didn't you call me? Are you serious? Like, we live in Leominster. It's not that big a deal, but we were just, you know what? We spent our 11th anniversary just eating cheese and crackers, looking at the view on the mountain, and drank a bottle of wine and listened to Frank Sinatra on the phone, and we had the most beautiful day Saturday. It was
Your
awesome.
flowers were so beautiful. Like, I opened up Facebook, and I'm like, oh, those are gorgeous.
He got me simple roses with nothing else. I'm like, those are actually really surviving. I used to work for a florist. In fact, the florist I used to work for, I'm sitting on a couch right now. And those are nice roses. He got me some nice roses, and we went to dinner at the Outback, if you can imagine, because I didn't want anything fancy. I just said I want unlimited shrimp. It's on TV. And
they close at 9, though.
On Sunday.
Well, we made it there at 5:30.
Well, that's where we were originally. We were going to go eat last night because we were starving after, the whole day.
If you're ever in town, please just tell me. That's all. Just tell me, because I'm not inhuman. I can actually meet with people. It's not a big deal. I'm not.
We just thought it was late.
You don't have to go to my agent to call us to say you're in town. We're just practically regular people.
That's awesome. No, what's funny is we were, at Ocean State. That's where we met you, and your husband, which, he looked familiar to us, but he, came over, he sat at the booth next to us and talking to the folks there, and he was rocking around, and Steve's like, do you know who that is? He looks so familiar. I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, I can't figure it out. We should have just went and asked him, because I never saw him around you, and and it's fun because...
Until the end, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's funny because I saw something with some posting of yours, and it had a picture of him in it, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, Steve, you're not going to believe who that guy is.
That's funny. He's usually around me quite a bit, but sometimes I have to travel without him. So, he pretty much looks the same all the time. That's my husband.
Whenever I talked to you, he was around, and then we were down. We got some food off of the wagon thing, whatever. And he was down there, next to us, and he was kind of walking around, saying hi to everybody. He looks.
It's
really
all good. He kind of keeps himself. We do Pararock TV, of course, but we're both so far removed from paranormal now because of all the BS. It's just. He picks and chooses what he wants to be involved in. He's here. He's just around the corner for me. But we're both just so far removed from it all. We'll do selective things when it comes to. Of course, I did the autism benefit because Ken. I would give the shirt off to Ken. My back for Ken. But we're not really as involved. We're not out there to sell merchandise and make a living off of this. We're out there to just kind of please the folks that want us to be there at this point. So,
and that was such
we were
a
there
great event.
We were there for Ken.
Yeah, he's such an outstanding man. We have very high regard for him, and
Yep.
you know, we would do anything actually for Ken as well. He's a good man, a very, very good man, and so glad that we are able to know him. But I wanted to talk about your book. You wrote Paranormal Unwrapped. What brought you to write that book?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What brought you to write the book Paranormal Unwrapped?
Oh, a phone call. Kitty Boyd called me one day and said, would you write a book with me? And I was absolutely elated because she's one of my favorite authors. And I read her Demons and Demonology 101, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and was just completely, thoroughly amazed at her research. Every question I always had in the paranormal was in that book, like right down to should I use a Ouija board to what's the name of these demons? And she answered all of that in one book. So when she called me and said, would you be willing to write a book with me, it was a no-brainer. I had never thought of writing a book before. It was awesome. Not everybody gets the opportunity to be asked to write a book and have a published book on the spot. A lot of people write a book hoping it's published. So I was immediately handed a contract by Schiffer Publishing, and they basically asked me, would you write a book? Like, wow. Okay. So I wrote a book, and my friend owns a beautiful place out in New Hampshire, a private ski chalet. So I said, Katie, you're going to come with me to a log cabin, and we're going to do this pretty much Kathy Bates style. We're going to stay in an old log cabin, and we're going to write and drink, and then drink coffee, and then drink alcohol, and we're going to write, and we're going to write, and we're going to light candles, and we're going to write. It was so like the movie. It wasn't even funny. We sat in these two seats and just wrote and wrote and wrote, and we formed everything we needed to write. And then I went home and wrote more, and it was done. So the book was done, and we were able to write a book about everything Paranormal 101, basically. But unwrapped means there's a little bit more juice to it. So anyone that knows me knows I don't hold back, and I'll tell the truth because I get nothing to lose. And I'll share my knowledge to the best of my abilities. I will speak the truth to the best of my abilities. I have nothing to spare. And Paranormal Unwrapped, when we talked about writing a book, was me saying, I want to talk about what I know, but a little bit more. And there may be another book in the future where, like, holy crap, and just said, what? Like, just this stuff that we wanted to make sure that people that were wanting to learn about this stuff knew the downright nitty-gritty. So we came up with the book.
Yeah, and it's not just about ghost hunting. It's all things paranormal, which include, aliens and Bigfoot.
The Mothman.
The Mothman, yep. So I included two alien experiences that I've had, two alien encounters that I had personally, and the rest was about research. Katie had some alien encounters as well, not uncommon for people involved in the paranormal. I just spoke exactly how I saw it. One night when I was 12, out on a hot summer night, just sitting there, what happened. What had happened to me when I was a college student going through a tough time, something that had appeared to me. So we just basically were able to finally speak from the heart and tell what happened. But we were able to cover other chapters as well, like Chupacabra and Mothman, throwing a little bit of cryptozoology as well, as far as just trying to get out there in the public what was about what. I mean, paranormal includes a lot of different things, so we covered it all. Definitely.
Mitch in our chat room actually just said he enjoyed the book much.
Mitch Silverstein.
Thank you.
Or Silverstein.
It's a great book. I mean, honestly, we had no bad feedback from it. You're very fortunate when that happens, because for a lot of beginners, just looking into how do we become a ghost hunter, it's a great, great resource. Just go up on Facebook and social media, find the best teams that you can, just research. Don't go on the first website you find or the first, so-and-so is part of this team. And the reason why I don't go for so-and-so as part of this team is because that's how I learned. I learned that, becoming a part of TAPS wasn't the way to go. So there were other teams that I had to join personally because casts didn't have the same morals and beliefs that I believed in at the time. Maybe they believed in something that Hollywood could sell, but not necessarily something that Shannon and Sylvia would believe in and want to practice for the next couple of years.
Right. Now, any of our listeners who are interested in getting that book, you can actually get it on Amazon.com if you want to check it out there as well. And I think actually on your website as well, which is ShannonSylvia.com.
It's up on ShannonSylvia.com, TarotRockProductions.com, StripperPublishing.com, Amazon.com. The book is for sale in every bookstore across the United States that sells any books from Stripper Publishing. So you can actually find it in England if you tried. So there are places you can find the book, but if anyone listening wants to find a book, I will certainly most likely find that with a personal message for you at no additional charge. You can just contact me right off the website. No problem.
That is sweet. Now, I appreciate your very forward, blunt, honest parts of you. I love that in people. I hate people that kind of beat around the bush and, they're like, I don't know. It's like just ask you a question, or tell me the truth, or, you know what I mean? And that's something I really appreciate about you. And I think in the past you went through a bunch of people talking about your reasonings for no longer being on Ghost Hunters International. And, everybody had their own versions of, it was because of Paranormal State. It was because they didn't like her, And I wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of explain to our listeners what happened, the truth behind what happened.
What really happened was that I got my attorney here in downtown Leominster. My attorney got me out of my contract in August of 2008, many months after the January 1st episode, because I was opening up a day spa in Westminster, Massachusetts. And I had notified Pilgrim Films that I could no longer be a part of their waiting list, basically. All the cast members would be, the formal first 6 were the first 7 episodes. Anything after that, they were going to kind of contract you, which means that you were able to be called at any moment in time to go around the world at any moment's notice. And I said, at that point in my life, this is way too difficult for me to do that. And I was really, really, really sick with the flu the day that Rob Katz called me, tell me that we were going to New Zealand for 6 weeks. Wow. Now, 6 weeks meaning you're boarding a flight, you're gone for 6 weeks from your job, from your husband, from your family. My head was in the toilet that day, bad, and I said, I have to call you back, I'm throwing up. He didn't care. So I called him back later, maybe 20, 30 minutes later or an hour. I don't know how long it took me, but I called him back later. I said, look, Rob, I'm wicked sick. I don't know what got into me. It was some kind of flu. I was always sick. After we got back from about, people understand that we would film in a different country and be back for only 1 week, and then we had to be on a plane for another week. And then film. So we were always traveling. And when you're always traveling, you risk being sick. So I had just gotten back. I was already with another flu, which is nothing new. And he said, you're going to be, Monday we leave from New Zealand for 6 weeks. And I said, you know what? I can't. I was so sick that day. The fact that he didn't care that I was throwing up in the toilet all day, didn't ask me how I was feeling. I kind of had it at that point. I was already building my new business, and my grand opening was April 14th of 2008. And they wanted me to be gone until May 2008. And I said, I can't miss the grand opening of the Day 5 in building for 2 years.
Right.
And, it was like their way of the highway. And people don't understand that. Oh, my God, what an opportunity. Like, why would you be so stupid? Well, how much are they paying you? And no, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. You have to think about your life and your job. As I mentored other girls on Ghost Hunters International, you don't give up your life for TV for a couple episodes. It's silly and stupid and fraudulent and a waste of life. And at that point, I realized I am sick. They don't even care. We just broke sci-fi records, the highest rating sci-fi television show in history. We beat Stargate. I used to watch Stargate as a kid. We beat the ratings from Stargate. Did we get a fruit basket or a Hallmark card? Nothing. We get a phone call saying you need to be in a plane on Monday for 6 weeks to another country. And we're like, you're shitting me, right? I mean, it was just, sorry for the F, you know.
You're good.
You know what I mean? Like, people don't understand that you're just treated like a product. You are our moneymaker. This is where you need to be. But we weren't on the payroll. We were paid per episode. So if you want to pay me like I'm going to Europe for my whole life for the past couple of years, pay me like I'm going to Europe for the past couple of years. Don't pay me the pity crap that, like, seriously, I made more money working at home here in the United States than I did in one day on that television show. People won't believe me until I really tell them. And I tell people I trust that. But it was just so at that point where, like, no. So I called my attorney here and said, yeah, you're so getting rid of this show, this whole everything, get me out of the contract. And they weren't ready to let me go. But we got out of it. So I actually quit the show. I was not fired because of Paranormal State, because when you audition for Ghost Hunters International, in your audition tape, you have to answer the questions on the question sheet they give you. And one of the 10 questions was, were you ever on TV before? So I said, yes. During my videotape review, I was on Paranormal State. This is what we did. As long as you're not on a competing television show, it is not a problem. If you are on Discovery Channel and you were auditioning for another television show on Discovery Channel, that would be a conflict of interest. So, no, I was not fired. This is documented. I quit. This is documented. I've had I have one co-cast member that tried to claim that I was fired. That was during her rough patch in her life, and I forgive her for that. But, no, everything's documented. So if people really, really want to get into the nitty-gritty, I can provide the lawyer's name. I can provide the documentation. I can provide that I quit the show, and eventually they let me go in August of 2008 because I did not want to be on call. So they gave us a position.
I couldn't imagine just being, gone at any moment. It's almost like being in the military when you're on call for,
right.
Well, you would know, Steve, because you were in the military. But, I mean, you get notified, okay, you might be leaving, in 24 hours.
I was given less than 5-hour notice that I was gone for 6 months.
I mean, that's crazy to leave everything, to drop everything. I mean, you got bills you got to pay. You got to say goodbye to your family,
But
and
there's a difference. Like, I actually knew it was coming. I mean, I signed up for that.
Yeah.
But, when you
if
sign
I signed up
TV,
for an international TV show, that's one thing, but I did not. None of us signed up for an international TV show. When I signed up for the pilot episode, there's an actual photograph of me holding one of those clapboards, and it says Ghost Hunters 2. We were told that the show was Ghost Hunters 2, a spin-off called Ghost Hunters 2, not Ghost Hunters International. We just happened to film the pilot episode overseas. And they said, you know what? This is a great spin-off. Let's do this overseas from now on. We were all shocked. Like, as glamorous as it sounds, you're in Europe this whole time with everything paid for. It's not that glamorous when you're like, oh, my God, I have a life at home in the United States. What do I do? And it's just not that easy. I'm just being honest with you. Like, it's not that easy to just say, I now work overseas full-time. It's not that easy, and especially when they're not paying you for that. So you have to kind of say, holy crap, like, is this worth it to be on TV or to be at home with integrity and to kind of go out when you're on top here? Because that's what I did. And then one by one, every cast member fell. I was the first to finally quit. And one by one, they all quit. They were all gone, and the show failed. So it wasn't a show that was meant to succeed because probably the way it was handled. It was just, if you're going to send your cast members overseas to work for you in Europe in some tough locations, Romania, not a good location. If you're going to send people in tough locations, you have to make sure they're happy, and not just financially. I mean, that's the last thing I mean by happy. Just make sure they're happy and that you pay your employees and that it's worth it to get a good episode out of the people, and maybe you send them to a place where we have some good activities so we can actually come up with good results.
Now, you shared your story on Paranormal State.
Yep.
And in your opinion, I mean, was that a good experience for you, or was it hard for you to go through that?
My experience on Paranormal State was both good and bad, because David Schrader, who is a well-known talk show host and paranormal, I don't know what you'll call him, but entertainment guy, not a bad guy, but he had emailed me and said that there's a new college team looking for good cases. I said, well, that's great, because TAPS had already come and gone, and they were using my house as a training course, so TAPS members would come and go and train at my condo at the old historic school, but they weren't, because my place is incredible with EVPs. We were providing EVPs almost on command, and still do to this day. I'm not going to. So they were sending TAPS members were coming to my place to learn, but I had emailed Dave back and said, well, if I really want to kind of get to the nitty-gritty, let's try it. So they selected me. I didn't know they were going to do that. They sent someone out to scout it, and she was awesome. She's like, this is perfect. It's an old schoolhouse. It's the perfect scenario. The Paranormal State came out. They indeed slept over. They did, and did a lot of research. I think back on it now, they were new. They were on camera. None of these episodes had aired yet, so they were just like me. I mean, I was in their shoes. Ryan was very cordial to me. I loved the entire team. Loved them. The production company was awesome. They made sure that we were fed dinner, made sure we were comfortable. When they didn't want to put I said, we're not putting cameras in my bedroom. They didn't put cameras in my bedroom. Everything was smooth until Ryan Buell wrote a book. And I forget what chapter it was, but he started writing about me in his book about calling me a trainee with Ghost Hunters International, which I was not. I was one of the main investigators. Said that my place, that I seemed like an attention whore, that I was setting up news interviews. That really, really irked me, because I was asking them, where are all the news interviews coming from? And they were saying that it's a new pilot, they're pushing it. The LA is pushing news interviews, that they're organizing all of this. They organized an entire news interview with the Boston Herald, and required me to meet with this guy at a local hotel for hours. And the guy was totally awesome. It was an amazing interview, an amazing article in the Boston Herald. I didn't organize that. That was them. They were in the interview. The producers, the directors, the cast members, they were all in the interview. I did not organize that. That really, really, really irritated me with when that chapter came out. I didn't organize the news interviews. That was all their production company. So, no, I'm not an attention whore. I was just going with the flow, sharing my personal home with these people for their enjoyment, and it kind of backfired, and it really kind of left me with a bad taste in my mouth.
I have to admit.
You know what? It's Hollywood.
Right. I have to admit, out of all of the ghost shows, the ghost hunting shows, Paranormal State is actually the one that I watched the most, along with Celebrity Ghost Stories. Those two I loved watching. I actually hardly ever, and you can ask Steve, I hardly ever watch TV now. And I maybe watched 2 Ghost Hunters International. I've watched, a fair amount of Ghost Hunters, but that was a long time ago. Like the new ones, I have not been able to see any of them. But Paranormal State was the one show I watched quite a bit, way before going into, investigating and stuff. And I remember your episode of your place, and that's funny. But anyways,
she's just reminiscing right now.
I'm reminiscing back in the days when I got to watch.
It was like
it is. It's all right. It's fine. I was there.
we got the pleasure of meeting Chip Coffey, who obviously has been on Paranormal State several times, and we were so surprised of how much he was the exact same person in person that he is that we saw on TV. And actually even funnier, if you ask me.
Yep.
But I loved meeting him. But I was just wondering, like, how you felt about, you know, the difference between Ghost Hunters International being on that, and then, of course, you were on the flip side of being the client on Paranormal State, and, you know, what kind of experience that was, you know, having both sides of the coins, you know what I mean?
Way different, because as a client, they are kissing your butt, just basically walking around your home. I mean, it was kind of straightforward with Paranormal State. They ask you what's going on where, like what room has the most activity. Then you kind of stand back, and they all of a sudden set up, cameras, and here comes the production crew, and they're in that room. And then, you know, when you're talking privately to Ryan Buell, there's a camera in your face. So that was kind of weird, but what do you say? Do you say no? When you're filming with Ghost Hunters International, you're acting as if you're doing an actual investigation without anyone watching. And 9 times out of 10, you didn't even know there was a camera in front of your face, because in these casts and places with no electricity, you had no idea there was a camera in front of your face. I kid you not, it was tougher to tell when there was a production crew around you overseas than at my own home when there was Paranormal State with crew following me around. My home is 1,550 square feet. I mean, we're not talking a mansion here. When you're in a castle in Romania that is 15,000 square feet, it's easy for a camera crew to get lost and not know in the pitch darkness when you're doing a ghost hunt that there's someone in front of your face. So that is legitimately kind of weird when you watch the episodes as you and I were watching them on Sci-Fi Channel and seeing live time. I didn't get to watch the episodes before you did. So I'm watching them that night as you are watching them going, oh, MSG. Like, they seriously were right there during that scene. I had no idea. So a lot of those scenes, you didn't even know there was somebody filming. Like, when I friggin' lost it in Italy crying like an idiot, that was somebody right in front of my face. And I kept moving around in that scene, hoping that a camera film wasn't following me. You could see me rotating like a saucer, just moving around in a circle, hoping no one was following me, rubbing my arms because I was freaking out. And there they were, and it made the commercial on Sci-Fi, and it was marketable. It was scary. I was scared. I'm still scared talking about it. It was scary. And they got their scene, and they got their footage, and that they were just doing their job. These cameramen were the bomb. They were doing their job the best they could, and they did well.
Now, we talked about you know, always being thankful for the bad and finding, like, the good in it. What would be something good that you feel came out of being a part of Ghost Hunters International?
Excellent question. What I feel is excellent about that question is that feeling good about it is that, you know, it opened up a lot of doors for my husband and I that never would have been opened. If I was not allowed to share my story on television or through my book, who would know who I was? You know, I would have just melted in with thousands and millions of other people who have had haunted house stories. So we've been able to get into some venues like Bobby Mackey's and Waverly Hills and all these great places that we never would have been able to have access to unless we paid tons of money. Because unfortunately, that's what they're doing, just like the Haunted Victorian. You know, I mean, we knew the Haunted Victorian owners before the Haunted Victorian was the Haunted Victorian. So, fortunately, we got into a place that wasn't bilking us for hundreds of dollars to just go there and have a fun party with these folks. But these other places we've had the privilege of going into without paying these exorbitant fees. We've been privileged to kind of, like, been able to experience these places. And if it wasn't for these places or these people allowing us this opportunity, then we would have been screwed. So in that case, we've been able to be privileged with just the opportunity to see more and be invited to more places and be open to more places. My cell phone is dying. I'm just letting you know. It's charging right now. Got the warning.
All right, so real quick before your cell phone dies, I want you to tell our listeners about Shancakes.
Shancakes, well, that was a folk thing. Taking my art degree a little bit further during the crashing economy back in 2008. Just kind of decided to do some cakes on the side. More and more I posted them on Facebook, and one by one everyone wanted a cake. So ghost hunters near and far, all the way as far as New Hampshire and Maine, started coming to my house to pick up cakes. And I ended up in what today is a 1,200 square foot facility with 2 floors and a classroom and a kitchen, and we're doing award-winning cakes like you wouldn't believe. So I'm just very fortunate. Able to do what I love, sculpting and making cakes, doing what we, just doing what I love, just doing benign, no drama things out of cakes, flour, and sugar.
It must be therapeutic for you.
It kind of is. It depends on how less stressful the situation is. Of course, it comes with its own drama, but not anything near what the ghost hunting community can bring. It's good.
Right. I think that's cool. I looked at some of your examples of your cakes. I really like the Marilyn Monroe one.
That was one of the second. I think that was the second cake I ever did. The second.
Really?
Yeah. Out of hundreds of cakes, that was probably the number 2. And that cake, when the couple came from New Hampshire to pick that up, a ghost hunting team, they came and picked up the cake and paid for it. And on their way home, a deer ran out in front of their car, and they stepped on the brakes, and that cake was history. That very cake.
No.
I kid you not. It's one of my best stories. It happens. It happened. This cake. It's an amazing cake. It was an amazing cake with amazing thought, so it was good.
So do you do anything that has anything to do with field hockey?
Oh, many. Yeah, many. Yeah, in fact, I made a big cake for Ruddy Runcourt, the guy that sings the national anthem for the Boston Bruins. So,
yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to make
many hockey cakes.
Cake.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was just a few months ago. He came to Leominster here, so I made him his own special cake.
Wow. Well, before your cell phone dies, do you want to kind of tell our listeners of ways to contact you or some events that are coming up?
How to order some cakes?
Yeah,
sure.
How to order some cakes.
We're very busy with the cakes, but if anyone is interested in cake stuff that lives around Leominster, Massachusetts, you're welcome to visit shancakes.com. That's SHANCAKES.com. For more information on the iWay Ouija board planchette or the ghost hunting laser, you guys can always visit shannonsylvia.com or pararockproductions.com, and that's PARAROCK Productions.com. That's it.
And I do have to say that planchette thing is very, very neat. If no one knows,
we just redesigned it. Redesigned it. Brand spanking new design.
Was that the one that was at Ocean State?
It was.
Okay.
A brand new silver design, all brand new design. So it's much more edgier and a smaller design and cheaper.
And that just that basically measures the amount of pressure, correct?
Of your fingers.
Yes.
So people can.
All those teenagers out there that want to play with the Ouija board that say you're moving it, no, you're moving it, no, you're moving it. Now we have a device that actually it's scale. It measures your finger's pressure, so there's no way you can fake it. If somebody was to put more pressure on that Ouija board scale to push it to a letter or a number, that scale would tell you. That number would skyrocket, and you'd be able to tell right away if somebody was faking it. Right away.
Like,
it's very sensitive. It's been featured in Mysteries Magazine, Fate Magazine, all kinds of places. Ron Kolek. across the board. It's been very successful, and now we're starting to do studies with MIT on the Ouija board planchette, as well as Bob Murch for History Channel. So we're getting some kind of recognition as far as the first Ouija board planchette to ever actually debunk people.
Wow.
Wow.
I actually
Not bad.
I love hearing the name Ron Kolek because he's actually the first person that I actually went on a ghost hunt with. And
nice.
Yeah, I was actually interested in starting my own team at that point, and he sat with me after the investigation, me and the ex-co-founder of our group, and he actually drove us off location in his car, still talking about what we needed to do and how to go about it the right way. And I mean, I look up to him like a mentor, and to hear his name is just I love that his name is out there in the paranormal field. So
that's
well,
awesome.
You know what? That's when you know you have the real deal. When somebody's not afraid to spread knowledge, then you've got the real deal. He's not a person that's out there to profit off anything. He was just trying to share knowledge with you so that you could actually do what you wanted to. So not a bad thing. Kind of take that with a grain of salt.
It's all about teaching and learning and passing the knowledge, like you said. So
definitely.
Yep.
Now, people can catch you on your show Up for Discussion on Tuesdays at 9, correct?
Yep, TV.com, PARAROCK.com, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard.
And you guys talk about stuff that's kind of, I would say, things that people kind of get heated over, I would say.
Not all the time.
Well,
actually, hardly ever. We just talk about current events and happenings and things that need to be discussed. We're not known as a controversial show. We don't call people out all the time. We're just as it comes.
Yeah, she put all the time in there.
No problem.
I'm just teasing you, Shannon.
No problem.
Now,
we actually interviewed Mark Vaux, the original owner of the Victorian Mansion. One episode.
Oh, really?
It was an amazing episode. Help me.
Wow.
Nice.
Now, you have a website for there, which is upfordiscussionlive.com.
ParaRockTV.com. PARAROCK.TV.com.
Oh, on your Facebook it has upfordiscussionlive.com and pararock.com.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Shannon, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Hanging out with us.
And we are definitely going to look you up next time we're in Leominster.
Definitely. Yeah,
Please
absolutely.
do. Please do. I don't want to hear you were in town for no reason here. So please do. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and say hello to Jeff for us.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jen.
Bye. Oh, I love her. I love her honesty, which is pretty cool. I love people that are not afraid to be who they are and kind of express themselves, and not be
not trying to impress people with fakeness.
Yep, definitely. Absolutely. I must say, if you have never had any of her cakes or cupcakes or anything, we had the pleasure of having one of her cupcakes that was so yummy.
You got
delicious.
to eat them.
So good. And go to her website because you can see great examples of her cakes where, I mean, when you think of Cake Boss, if you watch that show, these are, just as much up there as those type of cakes.
He actually uses the same fondue.
Fondue.
Fondue. It's the icing.
And the famous buttercream. Oh, I love buttercream. Yummy.
Hey,
but there's such
I'm a bigger type of kid, you know what I mean, with the belly. I like my cupcakes, and they're yummy cupcakes.
And some of the designs on there are amazing. I mean, just beautiful. She does a great job. And I think she's probably found her very personal niche in that because it shows and shines well. Being the winner of 6 awards for Reader's Choice and Best of North Central Mass for Best Dessert, Best Customer Service, Best Website, Best New Business. which is awesome. And they are located at 368 Central Street. It's a green building has off-street parking, and that's in Leominster, Mass. If you want to call, you can call at 978-840-4343. They are open weekdays 9 to 5:30, weekends 9 to noon.
They are obviously busy, like she said, but
if you're getting married, you want her to do your cake. Definitely. And like I said, her and her husband, Jeff, they have a web TV show up for discussion live, which when I said things that are controversial, I actually didn't mean it that way. I was coming up with the worst words. But things that are hot topics that, not normally,
topics.
Probably not common topics that we would talk about on this show, but things that are, in-depth conversation stuff, which it's definitely worth listening to. So if you want to check that out, that's at parallelrocktv.com. And don't forget to check out her book, Paranormal Unwrapped, which I think is definitely a must-to-have, or people coming into the paranormal, filled with a lot of interesting information, details from all avenues of the paranormal, from ghost hunting to equipment to aliens, Bigfoot. It talks about how you can read about interviews with the leading paranormal investigators of today, learn the business side of ghost hunting, including appropriate equipment use, cataloging evidence, building your own team, follow the hunt of ghosts, aliens, and favorite supernatural creatures, learn the signs of alien abduction, study crop circles, and identify varied alien stuff. So, blah, 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 I'm trying to talk really quick. But check that out. And you can also check out in prior episodes of Ghost Hunters International that she was in. I want to say she said she was in 6 different ones, which was, I can't even say it. Kurosta Prison, Ghost of the City of Lights, Unknown Soldiers, Buried Alive, Hauntings of South Africa. And also she was on Paranormal State, talking about her experiences there. Love that show. I know there's controversy around that show right now, but I love that show. Anyways, so next week we have our interview with Joni Mahan, which is
live on location at the Haunted Victorian in Gardner, Mass.
You are so going to want to listen to it because I'm positive.
I'm going to listen to it because I want to know if there's anything that's behind us.
Definitely.
Or in front of us.
There was definitely things going on around us at the same time as we were doing the interview. Actually, several interviews. And I am positive there's probably stuff that we're going to hear over the airwaves from our interview.
The spirits seem to want to be known.
Yes, definitely. There are a lot of different spirits from different time frames in that place. That place is amazing. If you have never gotten the honor to be in that house, I feel bad for you, in a paranormal sense of people who are in ghost teams, because this place is huge. For one, there are a total of 4 floors from the basement all the way up to the 3rd floor.
There's another one, the Widow's Peak.
Oh, actually, yeah, the Widow's Peak, which our team got some good evidence there as well. Well, we got good evidence all over the place. Just an amazing place. Unfortunately, due to some issues, not a place that they can bring teams into.
At this current time.
Yeah, at this current time. We'll say at this current time. And you can learn more about that as well on the interview as Joni talks a little more detail about that. But this place is amazing. But if you've been in there or you haven't been in there, I highly recommend that you read Joni's book, Bones in the Basement, as it's amazing. You can get it on Kindle, which for me, I got it right on my iPhone on the Kindle app. I want to say it costs $5 on Kindle. I know that they're more in the paperback version, but you can get that like on Amazon. Or you can go to the next book signing. I want to say it was October 13th.
In October.
Which will be at the Haunted Victorian again.
We shall be there.
And, yep, we have been invited to come back again. And I know they were giving tours on the first floor.
And the basement, I believe.
During that time frame. So hopefully they'll be doing that again. So you can actually see the inside of this amazing place. It's just
and maybe
so
even
beautiful.
have something happen.
Yeah, maybe you will get
happens all times during the day.
a little touched or something.
I'm a little touched.
You are, yeah, you are a little touched. Also, want to remind you that in 2 weeks we have the one and only Jay Wasley coming on the show from Ghost Adventures. Which is awesome. We got the honor of meeting Jay and his lovely wife, Ashley, which she actually might be joining us well. A little over, a year and a half ago. And then, of course, we saw them again this past spring. Two very, very nice people. They actually have their own production company. Oh, Silent Steve said, yes, you are. I think that's meant for you, Steve.
I know where you work.
Anyways, Jay Wasley, speaking of Ouija boards, he actually makes his own Ouija boards and sells them.
I thought his wife did.
Huh?
I thought his wife did.
I thought it was him. She was the photographer.
Either way, they make.
Yes, they make them. So I'm sure we'll talk about that as well when he's on the show. So make sure you join us for then. Besides that, do we have anything else to talk about? I can't remember who else we're having beyond that. It's been a busy week, huh?
It's been a crazy month.
I want to say a big hello to our friends from the Haunted Victorian, Tina and Marion, who...
hello.
Who so graciously welcomed us back again as family to the Haunted Victorian. It was awesome seeing you guys, and also Edwin, and appreciate Joni welcoming us to her.
Couldn't have been treated better.
Her book signing, and look forward to the next time we see you guys, and of course all our new friends over there that we met, like Lucky. Candace, Bill,
Bob.
Derek. Oh, it is Bob. Yep. Sorry, Bob. Did I say
Manny.
Carissa? MJ. Yep. Our little friend Manny. If you did not see the videos, this is
You will see him.
This is the owner's nephew, and he was thrilled to be videotaped.
Wanted to show us the scariest room in the house.
Cute little boy. You have to check him out. So go to our Facebook pages. Check out those videos, those interviews, some fantastic stories about the Haunted Victorian that people had. Also, if you know Mark and Lauren from Paranormal Hangover, which is also a great show on Wednesday nights, I believe at 7 p.m. on our network, DTM Wicked Radio. They were there as well. They have experiences that are in the book as well. And Mark had a very unique kind of experience. And I'm just going to keep it that. You're going to laugh your head off. So definitely go and listen to that. That was funny. That was definitely a very funny interview, wouldn't you say, Steve?
Definitely. That was fun.
That was awesome. Big hello to Flip.
What's up, Flip?
in the chat room, who was from Paranormal After Party, who was with us last week, and all our friends in the chat room.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So,
I'd like to thank our guests one more time.
Yep, our guest Shannon for joining us, taking time out of her day. And we want to hope that everybody has a very safe holiday weekend this upcoming weekend. Please, please don't drink and drive.
But drink.
Keep it safe, but have a whole lot of fun safely. And as I tell my daughter, make good choices. Everybody have a great, great, great night.
See ya.
This is the rocker, Keith Ramsey from Deep South Paranormal, and you're listening to Steve and Naomi on Into the Unknown Realm on DTM Wicked Radio.
Welcome to Into the Unknown Realm. We're back just for Flip.
Just for Flip. We are live just for you.
I don't know. You want to do another show? We could do it all about Flip.
We could.
It could be the Flip Show.
We should have him call in.
Into the Unknown Realm with Steve, Naomi, and Flip.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
I mean, he is pretty entertaining.
He is.
Yes, definitely.
We got to have him on the show.
Yeah. and then maybe bring Mike Curtis with him.
I hear he's getting some D cupcakes. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Or is that double D?
Oh, I don't know. We should probably end the show, huh?
I don't know. You look.
I mean, we got to work tomorrow, right?
No.
I mean, Flip, he should have, coordinated his schedule with us, with, trying to get the show working and, all that good stuff.
We love you, Flip.
Anyways, Flip, we hope you have a great night, along with all our listeners. Have a great week.
See ya.